you're saying in theory, but it's like Jameis has been built around.
No,
Mariota's been built around.
Those are two different test cases, and we'll get to that segment later in the show. We have a new segment that we're unveiling, but I'll get to Jameis later. But boy, did he say some wild stuff in that press conference.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Like I can't crap on Jameis because I'm like, and it dates back to Quincy Avery and the article from the Ringer about the black quarterback camp. I want it to be where like the worst, like 3 of the worst quarterbacks in the league are black, and everybody's cool with it. And I'm like, yeah, I want to get to that point too. So I'm not going to trash Jameis Winston because there are plenty of people who are way worse than Jameis Winston.
Oh, no doubt.
Like 1,000 times worse. He's like Jay Cutler on a whole nother level.
He is Jay Cutler. That's perfect.
No,
you nailed
his gunslinger.
You nailed it.
Not
He's
his personality.
Jay Cutler.
No, they have two different personality wise. Jay Cutler's a wet blanket.
Though.
Jay Cutler's a wet blanket.
Adjacent.
Like, Jameis is the live wire. And once he did that thing where he was eating his fingers, it was like, we gonna eat a W. And Deshaun Jackson looked at him like, oh, this dude is crazy. Like, I knew it was just never the same. But I just can't crap on Jameis because, like, he has that Brett Favre type mentality and it's refreshing. Even though it's like, man.
Bro, he's literally only had big ass receivers his entire career.
Literally since high school.
And he still throws hella picks.
But God,
like,
oh my goodness, just there's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh, Byron Leftwich released looking
No. Leftwich never had that type of accuracy when he really needed it.
But he had that long ass fucking wind up.
He could throw a football 3 country miles, but boy was it a slow wind up. But he was tough. Tough as nails.
All right. Other firings that went down this week.
Pat Shurmur. Shout out to the Giants for sucking.
Which we all knew that was coming.
Viking offensive coordinators have never worked out as coaches. Name one. Please name one.
Did they just hire him or was 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Been 2 years. 9-23. He got more time than the last guy, but Gettleman, the GM, is the real problem because he takes
I think anybody who can take Case Keenum and some undrafted overlooked receivers and make them look like a competent offense.
Wait, did you
without Dalvin Cook too? That was a year they didn't have Dalvin Cook.
Or did you just slander the Vikings receivers?
Well, that year they were
they
not
had Adam Thielen and they had
that was their breakout year.
Stephon Diggs, yeah,
that was their breakout year.
Stephon Diggs was a 5-star recruit in high school.
Yeah, and what round did he go to? Like the third,
fourth. Raiders passed on him.
That's what I'm saying.
Averaged 17 yards.
But that's what I'm saying. So you could take that and turn it into something competent
player
without Dalvin Cook.
Him and Thielen are great players.
No, I'm just saying, as a coach, I can see why that would appeal to you, considering he took Case Keenum and made him into
and now they
a
have
Pro
Daniel
Bowl
Jones, who's just a better version of Case Keenum.
Nah, he's better than Case Keenum. Come on.
So
Case Keenum's pretty bad.
He's Alex Smith with a slightly better arm and taller.
I mean, that's a lot.
And he's not
like that's a lot. Like that's a lot. Like that was Alex Smith's biggest knock was his size. Like.
So he's like, he has the size and some of Alex Smith's best qualities.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
When you could have got Haskins, who's people were crapping on him.
I don't know, man. We'll see.
I'm not accepting any Haskins slander after how great he played at the end of the season. When Jake Gruden, Arena Football League coach, because that's the only place he had success. He didn't have success as an NFL head coach. Missed me with that.
He made the playoffs his first year.
So those weren't his players. He it's like if a chick broke up with her dude and then
I don't believe in that shit,
and then hooked up with somebody the next day.
I don't believe in that.
I'm not
shit.
giving that person credit for you hooking up with somebody.
That
you were a
isn't-
rebound.
that's a worse metaphor.
It really is. But hey, first Jay Gruden was a good rebound coach. That's what I'm saying. That's all he was. And then when you actually got him long term to build the team out, didn't really work all that great. Because he wanted Case Keenum. He wanted Colt McCoy. Like, Kirk Cousins clearly didn't work out.
I just don't know because
you finally get Haskins, who you can build around, and Terry McLaurin, who almost had 1,000 yards, except for being injured a couple games. Shout out to him saving my fantasy season a couple times, even though my fantasy season was a wash. We're not going to talk about that this year.
I don't know. I just don't buy the whole he won with somebody else's players because like sometimes
John Gruden he made a career out of it.
Sometimes that's literally like what it takes. Like sometimes you really do just need a new figurehead and a new kind of direction to kind of figure it out.
Well, guess what? He ain't Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer was a decent head coach outside of
Didn't Jim Caldwell go to the Super Bowl with Dungy's team?
Yeah, but he went to the playoffs and had success. But
nobody says that.
But he had success. Yeah, but he was the main person working with Peyton Manning. So if you look at that and you look what he did in Detroit, which by the way we're going to get to that too, because Detroit fired all their assistant coaches, but
nobody says Gary Kubiak won with John Fox's team.
Because John Fox should have been one with that. Can we be honest?
What I'm saying. He should have been one with that. That's what I'm saying. We can't just pick and choose and be like, oh,
that's
that dude won with that.
That's like the only exception, though. That's like the only exception. And John Elway finally got a quarterback, right? Shout out to Drew Lock. Apparently not singing to Young Jeezy, but the video, and it's so funny that, yeah, you were singing to Young Jeezy.
But yeah, man, other firing news that went down, the Detroit Lions
fired everybody
except for their head coach,
Matt Patricia,
which is really weird because they're going to be in the Senior Bowl, so I really don't know how that's going to work. I guess they're going to just promote a lot of people.
It's like how is a guy who failed utterly in the Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator and then as a head coach, and the guy before you got the Detroit Lions to the playoffs twice. He in only like 4 years, Jim Caldwell was one of the most successful head coaches in franchise history.
I feel like the Lions are in the same exact spot as they were with Caldwell. So I'm thinking worse. I'm thinking the lowest common denominator.
They traded away their best players.
Is Stafford.
Stafford ultimately has broken bones in his back.
But I'm just saying,
the offensive line didn't.
What I'm saying is though, like, yeah, Detroit is at the top of the draft this year, but they weren't that bad. They were in a lot of close games that could have went either way that they lost because they're the Lions. So,
and I think,
and under Caldwell, they were pretty much the same thing. It's just
I don't think
they found a way to win a little bit more of those games and finish 7-9 and 8-8 or 9-7.
Trey Flowers, I don't want to count another man's money, but Trey Flowers stole money.
He started off the season hot though, but
7 sacks.
They countered.
Sacks. 7 sacks for a guy who's not that fast for a pass rusher, and is really a left defensive end, if we're being honest.
He might have had like 3 of those in like one game in like week 2.
Yeah, he had like 7 sacks this year. So it's like for the amount of money he got paid, and you let Ziggy Ansah walk, and Jared
Davis
really
do anything this year though either.
Yeah, but still, like the guys they let go, Kyle Hyder.
Yeah, so he had 5 sacks,
trading one of their safeties
basically through midway through the season,
and finished with like 7 or 8.5 maybe.
Yeah. No, he finished it with 7.
Yep. See? It's like, what do you do with that? Like, it's like the Cliff Averill effect all over again. But at least he eventually got over 10 sacks.
Yeah, once he got a whole cast around him.
Yeah, he was good in Seattle before everybody came. But Michael Bennett definitely helped his play.
Other news, Ron Rivera, former Panthers head coach, is expected to be the Redskins' new head coach.
He officially signed on. They had his press conference.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, today. But before we get to that, I just want to say the Cleveland Browns let go of John Dorsey. So pretty much everyone who was involved in drafting Baker Mayfield is gone.
Bro, new year, new GM. That's basically Cleveland's mantra.
They fired Freddie Kitchens.
Like, how many GMs have they been through?
A lot. They've lost more GMs in the past decade than I have chapstick, and I've lost.
Honestly,
a lot of
they
chapstick.
should just get that dude from draft day to come in and be their GM because he'll probably do a better job.
I'd say hire Louis Riddick, but they would mess that up too. Why doesn't Louis Riddick have a job yet? But everybody else, never mind. Anyway, but back to the Deadskins.
Daniel Jeremiah.
Nah, because he would eventually get iced out there too. They would ice him out. Even though I think he would be somewhere, he'd be probably good with the Bengals if they brought him on there.
How the fuck do you always say it like that? Oh, Bengals. Like, you have no country accent except for when you say the Bengals.
The Bengals?
There you go.
The Bengals?
Yeah, see? What the fuck is that?
Because Joe Burrow's gonna get signed there. So I just gotta I'm telling you, somewhere deep inside me I have like a Louisiana drawl. I just don't pull on it. But it's there.
I'll do what I want.
Like, it's there. I have a southern drawl somewhere. I just don't. I just haven't like tapped that part of my brain yet. But one day I might. But yeah. You look at the Deadskins. They got rid of their training staff. I still don't think that's enough to get Trent Silverback Williams to come back. I think it's over, unfortunately. But if Ron Rivera can get him to come back, he's already coach of the year. And then you got rid of
I just
Barry.
don't know what they're going to do with that defense because they've been trying
They're running a 4-3.
I know, but they've been trying to run a 3-4 for how long?
And they're running a 4-3 now, which is horrifying.
But they're running a 4-3. Their whole defensive line is like 3-4 players.
No. Deron Payne. They have two Alabama D tackles who could play defensive end and D tackle.
They can, but they're natural two gappers. That's what they've been doing for
they can play
more than half their lives.
They can play 1 and 5. They have guys. Matt Ioannidis, great steal. He had 7 or 8 sacks this year. Deron Payne. I'm forgetting the other guy's name who was even better than Deron Payne. Crap. Google it for me. But they have like 3 great defensive linemen already, right there. Young guys, still in their rookie.
Jonathan Allen.
There you go. Jonathan Allen's a beast who can play 3 technique, and he played defensive end. That's what.
And Montez Sweat.
And Montez Sweat, who had 7 sacks, by the way. All you people who in the Raider Nation,
yeah, they ran a 3-4 last year.
but now they're running a 4-3. They have
But
Ryan
I'm telling
Kerrigan.
you, they have all those guys are 3-4 guys.
No, he's not. Montez Sweat played in a 4-3 at Mississippi State.
I thought Mississippi State runs a 4.
No, they run a 4-3. They run a 4-3.
You sure about this?
They have 3-4 hybrid dog. You're gonna tell me about Mississippi State football players? How many people all last decade were saying the Raiders should draft more Mississippi State defensive linemen because they're all good? Fletcher Cox, they didn't have a chance at him. Montez Sweat, Chris Jones, but by the way, Montez Sweat played defensive end, 4-3 defensive end. He did a little bit of 4-3 work, but now that he had 7 sacks as a rookie, and he fell in the draft. Because of the little heart thing, which I think was total BS. Again, Raiders. You got Max Crosby, but you could have had Max Crosby and Montez Sweat, who's like 6'6", 260, runs a 4.4, faster than all your receivers, freakishly strong, can play the run, and is a great pass rusher. But you chose to get Cliff. I can't even say his name properly. I'm sorry. Clelin Ferrell. I hope that was worth it. Like, I thought he was a great player at Clemson, but of course you're great when you play with 2 first-round players next to you at defensive tackle. Shout out to Dexter Lord, who balled out this year, and Christian Wilkins, who's a good glue player for the Dolphins defense. But Clelin Ferrell, was it worth it? Was it really worth it? And now the Deadskins are going to have Ryan Kerrigan if they don't trade or cut him. If they do trade him, all they're going to do is take Chase Young. So you got Chase Young, who's a freakish athlete. And then, why am I forgetting? Oh, Montez Sweat, Chase Young. One guy runs a 4.4 that we know of, and the other guy might run a 4.4 or a 4.5 at worst. So, and he's better than both the Bosa brothers combined. So you have Chase Young with the 2nd overall pick, Montez, Ryan Kerrigan, unless they can convince him to stay on and play outside linebacker. And I don't know if that'll work, but they ran a 4-3 defense when he was at Purdue, and they didn't know if he was going to be agile enough or fast enough off the edge to be a good 3-4 outside linebacker. And he has almost like 80 sacks or almost 100 sacks since he's coming to the league. So now he's going back to his natural position of a 4-3 defensive end, and you got Montez Sweat, and you got a loaded defensive line. You had 2 guys off that defense who had at least 7 sacks. Ioannidis was a backup, and then the linebackers are young. I mean, they might need to draft a couple guys, but they're young, athletic. They can play. You got Josh Norman going back to playing in a defense that suits him as far as playing in a 4-3 with Steve Wilkes and Ron Rivera, and him going back to his natural position. I think that defense has a lot. The Redskins have a lot of talent. They just need